This week on Rockstar Superhero. As Dennis Sanders says, life has a way of saying don't get too comfortable. And maybe that's exactly why I like his music so much. Today on the show, you're going to make another new discovery with me as we listen to the first moments a new artistic friendship is born. Dennis's band, Spirit in the Room, is a dark-hearted novel come to amazing life, and we are all here to witness its truth and fiction. The new album, Flamingo, is a thickly mixed, dense, and brutally melancholy work of singularity. The name of the band clearly draws a line in the sand because the music does sound like a spirit in the room. I'm just not sure if it's friendly or not. You're going to have to take the next 45 minutes to learn the truth about the man, the band, and the reasons behind it. This is Spirit in the Room, and you're listening to Rockstar Superhero.
Place all the time, location. Now it's just the difference between the hammer and the nail.
Spirit in the Room is a full-on wow for me. It's really easy to exaggerate feelings about something like this because it's very much what I call journey music, and not like the band Journey, but it takes me through an atmosphere. It's like the songs have their own weather system,
I agree, man. I like to hear that.
Yeah. I'm super jazzed. So thanks for being here.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. There it is. So before we get to the music, man, really one of the basic tenets of the show is the formation of the artist. I talk about this every time. I kind of like to know where somebody's been, and when I do research on artists, it's because I'm genuinely interested in what I'm hearing. The same token, I try to kind of leave it open-ended because I really want to hear the words from your mouth versus what I think you're about, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so I'm kind of curious, from what I read, you started life in Louisiana and then you ended up in like Los Angeles or something like that. So you want to tell me a brief story, like kind of how you kicked the tires of life?
Well, I was born in Joliet, Illinois, and I left there when I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, moved to Louisiana,
Gotcha.
And pretty much bounced back and forth from Chicago, Michigan. And I lived out in Bakersfield for a little bit of time when I was a kid.
Wow.
But I always ended up back in Louisiana. But I had gotten a job as a guitar tech. And so we would go out and then I'd come home, fly back to Louisiana. And I ended up inheriting the bass position in that band. And so instead of just coming back and forth, I decided to just relocate out to Los Angeles and do that band.
Nice.
Full time as much as we could do it. And I just ended up staying out here. That was 13 years ago now. So, and I started Spirit in the Room like right when I got out here. I remember going to Guitar Center and getting the tiniest little setup that I could, a little interface, a MIDI controller, and I had an iMac that I was borrowing from somebody that I was staying with, and I just went from there and I just started to learn how to record myself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, and like I said, 13 years later, here I am, and I've created this thing, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm really grateful to everybody that gives it the time of day,
Yeah. Well, it's easy when it's good. You know what I mean? I know that taste is relative, and somebody like myself who's, kind of been around and test driven a lot of different styles of music, and certainly in love with more, the heavier side, the more progressive side, the more adventurous side of music. It's easy it works for me. Right. But you know what, man? It's, you talk about this thing, this 13-year experience, and in that process, especially being a multi-instrumentalist, you get way more than 10,000 hours in. You become a significant professional at it. And I think even somebody like, I would even use my aunt and uncle who only listen to country, for example. Old school, Hank Williams, not even Hank Williams Jr.
Outlaw shit. Yeah.
Real, shooting guns at trains type stuff. Right. And but they would still be able to appreciate what you do because they can recognize it, right? That talent precedes you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man.
Is that weird?
No. Your parents sound pretty cool. I love a bit of outlaw country myself, man.
Yeah.
Life is full of phases, dude. We all go through these phases, and some people get stuck, and some people don't. I definitely went through my outlaw country phase, and yeah, for sure. I mean, living down there, I mean, outlaw country and punk rock. I mean, I look at outlaw country, punk rock, and hip hop.
Totally the same.
Yeah, man. Like, and I think outlaw country and hip hop are more punk rock than punk rock at this point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, there's something about it, man. You know, I think you and I have somewhat similar stories. Again, from what I'm reading, I could be misinterpreting it wrong, but I was a child of a salesman dad. And so we moved everywhere. I mean, I'm 56 years old. I have lived at 47 different addresses in my life.
Wow, you kept count, huh?
Yeah, I did. And I recounted them recently just to verify.
It's so gnarly.
Yeah, it is gnarly. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is because, again, what I had read about you was saying that, you know, you feel like maybe there's times where you haven't had a home because you've bounced from place to place and, you know, a vagabond, if you will, right? And I'm curious how much the moving itself has affected you as a creative, because the thing I noticed as a kid was the constant switch in environments, you know what I mean, really toughened my resolve as a musician. And it also taught me how to deal with being uncomfortable all the time, you know, being sick to my stomach, starting in a new school, new class, you know, so when I was going out on stage to play music, it never bothered me.
Yeah, you get really close with discomfort. You find your comfort zone within the most uncomfortable situations because you have to, because that's just what you had to do. Yeah, man. So,
all that being said, how does that speak into your life? You know, like, I mean, you just said it, I get it, but you know how, in a way, I call it like a man with no home, right? Or a man with no land or no real roots, because you're right. You sat down for a while. Right now, you're where you're at, but because of what's happened in the past, you might really jump again. And I mean, has that made your life difficult? I mean, are you grateful for it?
Yeah, I'm actually really grateful. I don't understand a lot of things that people are going through, in a sense that I've seen the end result in different lifestyles and in different places throughout the country and periods of my life. So a lot of times it's not that I don't take certain situations very seriously. It's just I feel like I've seen it before, you know, and yeah. I've always I always sleep the best whenever when there's a lot of I've always found that I sleep really well when there's something tragic going on. That might sound really fucked up, but I've had to make a pallet to sleep on in so many different corners of life and places and people's couches and floors and my studio or my, you know, I've slept in my truck a few times and
right.
Man, I don't know. There's something about it that I cannot describe that I feel just gets it. It's like you find relief with being unconscious. Like you're awake and you're like, this is so shitty. And when you finally fall asleep, it's just the most peaceful thing in the world. And if you know, some people can't get to sleep. I'm not. I could sleep. I'm a sleeper. I could sleep. There's my bed right here. I'm probably gonna sleep in that later. And actually, now that I have my own bed, I have my own place. I kind of, this is the first time in my life I've actually felt like, well, I have my own home now. I do have a home now, but I don't know how long I'll be here. You know, and I don't know, man. I sleep well in discomfort.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, this resonates with me so much because, there's something there's something about it, the work ethic that gets built up inside of that as well. Right. I was thinking back about this the other day. I was talking to my wife, and you don't know me, but I have to preface this story with the fact that I bathe way too much.
You bathe?
I shower twice a day. I do. It's pathetic. I'm like
Dude, I used to do cold showers twice a day.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like OCD. Like, if I'm like, I live in the Northwest, so it's not very humid here. So when I get sticky, I've got to shower. There's no way in hell I'm going to fall asleep. There's no way. Yeah. I'll lay in bed for 9 hours just complaining that I'm sticky, right? So all that being said, what I love about what you're saying is, here's a guy who's just used to being uncomfortable, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. You're just right. It informs you in a way, and in a lot of ways, I think it allows you to take. It actually grants you the opportunity to take chances with your music. That's what it is, Dennis.
Yeah. I find that I have the tendency to fuck things up whenever I get too comfortable.
Yeah.
And that,
self-sabotage sort of thing?
Yeah, man. And that's something I'm learning to deal with in therapy and by talking to people that are licensed to deal with that sort of thing. But I do have a bit of a self-sabotaging past and pattern in my life. And I tell you, as you get older, it doesn't feel as good, and you notice it more, and where, you start to realize that you are the problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, it's not that I want to live in discomfort or be surrounded by negativity and tragedy. I've just grown so used to it. It's actually quite fucking terrible. I'm being very real here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here on this call today.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, because that dude, that speaks to me so much. I don't know, man. Maybe this conversation, besides turning people onto your killer new EP, will get some people to pay attention and maybe seek help, or maybe, you know what I mean? Just,
dude, I'm a fucking I'm a walking advocate for taking mental health seriously. Yeah. I got issues. We all got issues.
Yeah.
I just can't really hide mine that well. I'm a little too, you can look at my eyes and see some shit, and I don't know. It's just, I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I am who I am, and I'm a work in progress, much like everybody else,
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's so true. You don't meet a lot of people like that, who you just get this sense that if anything's gonna go down, don't worry, Dennis has got it. Does that make sense? Right? Like, you're the guy who's got people's back, because not that there's this hidden awful violent streak in you. It's just a lifetime of really not quite getting where, I don't want to say deserve, but not quite getting where you'd hoped, or right, or a song doesn't break, or a certain avenue of your life that you expect a certain outcome, it doesn't happen, and it's this perpetual state of dissonance. And excuse me, and artists, we tend to be there the most because we're actually unsure of ourselves. I mean, almost every musician I know, every creative, is at least some form of not believing, I can't remember what it's called. It was imposter syndrome, the idea that, I don't actually deserve success, which I think is where the sabotage comes from. It's easier to be fighting to get up the ladder than it is to be at the top, realizing the only way is down.
Yeah. Perfect way to put it, Rob. Yeah, dude. And once you realize that, you can either fix it, work on it, or, you could just, I don't know. If you realize that and you don't do anything about it, then my hands are in the air as far as what I can do for you. I know there's been times in my life where people have given up on me because I didn't quite realize what I was doing. And I don't hold the grudge against those people at all. Maybe I did at one point, but now, they say like, knowing is the first step or whatever, but there's so many other steps you got to take. You can't just take the first step and then that's it. You got to keep going. It's fucking hard, man. It's fucking hard. It's really hard to live in the light. It's super easy to live in the dark.
Man, that's it. That's it right there. Because, and this isn't, I don't want to go down the spiritual road. I always tend to do that every interview, but the light, man, it's where we all should be. And do you do this? I got to ask, because I don't think I've ever asked anybody this, but I do this, dude. I totally do this. When somebody's telling me, so like say I'm just in a really crappy mood, right? Like the worst mood. And you come over to my house and you're like, Rob, man, I'm going to tell you some good, give you good advice, right? I'm going to help you get out of this funk. And you're telling me stuff and you're telling me good, positive words that are resonating with me. And I'm hearing them. And inside, Dennis, I'm doing everything I can not to smile because I don't want you to know you're making it better. That's madness.
Yeah.
I admit that out loud to everybody listening. That is my fucking problem. I cannot accept a good thing because I don't believe I deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people are like that. I too have a hard time holding back a smile, even though it's forcing its way through my face. Mm-hmm. But I'm in a mental place that I apparently would rather be. I'm in a dark space. But say, there's times where I'll be out and I'll see a friend. I'll be out in a really bad headspace, and then I'll see a friend. And I just can't help but smile because I'm happy to see him, but I don't want to fucking smile, but I can't help it. I can't hide I cannot hide, man. Yeah. I think that's what makes things harder to go around people for me sometimes because it's like John Lennon said, man, there's one thing you can't hide. It's when you're crippled inside. And some people are better at hiding that than others, man. But there's plenty of times where I can't help but smile, even if I don't want to.
Yeah. But you know what, man? The beauty of what you just said, and I think about Lennon too, I mean, he clearly reflected it. But you know what, man? People don't need us to be perfect for them. They don't actually need us to be happy. They just need us to be real, to be transparent, to be who we are at all times. And they can say, you know what? Dennis is a pain in the ass to be around because, he's in a pissy mood all the time. But holy crap, have you listened to his music? Like to me, it's like we're court jesters. It's just who we are. We're stuck here and people are going to take advantage of that. And that's okay because we actually secretly want you to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to be told how to fix ourselves or how to make ourselves better. We want to be better, but we can't unfuck ourselves. I say it all the time. We cannot unfuck ourselves. How do we unfuck ourselves? Mom, help me, man,
Yeah, I mean, I talk to my mom about that shit all the time, and there's only so much she can do, so I'm just grateful that she's there for me to listen. My dad too, both of my parents are my best friends. It wasn't always like that, right. But at this age, at this part of my life, dude, like I'm super grateful for those two, my mom and dad. They're not, they're separated and whatnot, but
sure.
It doesn't fucking matter, dude. And I gotta say, like, I'm a pretty goofy person. Anybody that hangs out with me or that truly knows me knows that yes, I have a dark side, but I'm a very goofy. I get off on making people laugh. I've always thought that musicians and comedians are one and the same to an extent,
Yep.
And
dark-hearted.
Yeah, man. And to be honest, like I really would rather make somebody laugh than hurt their feelings. And I'm a pretty goofy person for the most part. A friend of mine once said that, you really don't know how much evil somebody has to go through in order to make them be so beautiful or so kind, like one must go through so much tragedy in order to become so kind. And I've never that resonated with me. A friend of mine said that, and I don't know. So I think you go through some shit so you're able to see through bullshit more as you get older, I guess.
Yeah Yeah, I think, there's an adage I've read a couple times online the past couple weeks. It basically says don't tie yourself to an outcome, right? Because you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, don't romanticize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like money's going to make it better, or, whatever's going to make it better. The reality is what we need to do, and we'll get on to music here, but what guys like you and I need to do is we need to, when we connect like we're doing today, we need to recognize that in each other and be available to each other, because like you and I, again, just meeting, dude, like I'm down to be, your advocate for the rest of your life, because I recognize those things in you that make you special and extraordinary that maybe you don't see. And hopefully others see those things in me too. Right. But we need a champion in our lives.
Yeah.
And
I believe we need mirrors as well, mirrors in people. You meet people that are just basically the type of personality that holds up a mirror and you see yourself through them because they're so much like you, I suppose. Or I don't know. I've met a few people in my life that are just like giant mirrors, and I'm able to see the error of my ways through them. We need each other, man. We need each other. I love to be alone. I'm a pretty introverted person.
Yeah.
But when I see people, man, I one thing I love to do is compliment what people are wearing. I'm the dude that's always going cool shirt, or cool dress or cool whatever. I love that. And I just feel like we need each other. There's so much more to all of this than just us, like by ourselves and how we feel. And
absolutely.
Like, I can't really. I don't walk around expecting people to change their ways to adapt to how I feel,
Yeah.
Because life isn't always about how we feel.
Yeah. So before we get on to the music, I got to ask this, because you're speaking my language. What do you do when you're struggling with life, or maybe you've hit a dead end writing a song, right? You just writer's block, whatever's going on, something tough. How do you step away from the noise in your life? Do you go on a hike? Do you go on a drive? Do you go somewhere and scream? Like how do you get through?
I go outside. I go for walks. I'll go to a pub. I'm around a few pubs. I have a couple local pubs that I go sit at with a notebook and I write. Nice. I just get out. I get out because in this room I'm in my head, and I can go outside and go to the pub. I can go to a store or whatever. And it's not about me at that point,
Yeah.
So, and I like that, man. I really love to walk. Hiking's great. It's especially when I'm working on a song. I could be sitting in front of my computer without my setup for 6 hours at a time, just working on a song, and it starts to not sound. It just starts to sound like mud, So I take it and I go for a walk with it, and I swear I could bounce it to my phone, and then go outside and take it outside, and the air just makes everything sound different, and I can hear things better. And I fully encourage people to get out of their bedrooms or their houses and get out of your head and go outside, because there's so much more to all of this than us as individuals,
Yeah. I do that myself. I really love to get out on hikes, and I like to think that this hike is made for me. And let me, I'll just keep it brief. But what I say is like, okay, this hike, like the moment I'm looking over here to the left, or the moment I'm looking over here to the right, or the smell in the air, or the blue sky, or the cloudy sky, or the rain, or the wind, and I try to imagine that, like, if God is up there, he's like, I made this moment for you so you could just be at peace. Yep. Because your life is so not peaceful.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And quiet too. Like I used to take, podcasts or music out into the woods, and I don't do that anymore. Now it's all in my head. Yeah. So I can actually unfuck myself again. I need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's important to get the fuck out. I go through periods where I can't even listen to music, Yeah. And then I go through periods where it's all I can do is listen to music to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all up and down. Life is a roller coaster, It's very rare. It's very rare to find balance, and even when you do, you're still you're looking for the bad in it, So just kind of go with it. Just go with the fucking flow. Get out of your head, Don't believe everything you think.
We're gonna hang soon, dude.
Cool, bro. Yeah.
I'm feeling something here. We're gonna be around. We got to make that good for each other.
Let's do it.
So look, I want to talk about Flamingo. You know, I mean, it's obviously why we're here. That title track, it's on YouTube, I think. I've heard the rest of the record, of course, because of my relationships at PR, but that piece is such a perfect example of what I believe to be your approach, which is this sort of mishmash of dreamy and gothic and violent and heavy. But there's so much air in the material you write. And I don't know if anybody's ever said that, but I just really feel like it's this airy, dreamy soundscape that just happens to have melodies in it.
Yeah, and then you get really comfortable and bam, you get hit by a fucking train.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
That's
especially
life.
in that piece. I mean, I was just like, what?
Yeah, that's life. Life is don't get too comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So has that been your approach from the beginning? You just like kind of pulling the rug, the musical rug out from under the listener?
Yeah, I like sounds. Like that song in particular, "The Bird of Paradise that lights only upon the hand that does not grasp," is everything came from the subwoofer. It sounded in the beginning. I was on a Moog little fatty synthesizer, and I was just doom, 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 doom,
Yeah.
and then I turn around and I record it and I loop it, and then I just start singing. And I think I had, I'm holding my breath written down on a piece of paper, and I read it and I sang it, and then everything kind of came from there. But I find I can do more with very little, like that's why bass is my favorite. I write all the songs off of the bass and the beat. I'll program a beat and do a bass over it or something like a sound effects from a synthesizer or whatever. I love that. It brings up it evokes so much emotion. And to me, touching on the fact that I can do so much with so little, it's like having a bass guitar, 4 fucking strings. You're in the corner, you put yourself in a corner, and for some reason, for me, it's easier. It's just easier to fight my way out of a corner, and I enjoy the process.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, basically, Spirit in the Room is you. But I assume, man, this is where I could have missed a few things. I assume you have collaborators, people you've done stuff with or written with in the past, or like, I mean, have you ever taken this out live on the road? I really don't know those parts.
I've never collaborated with anybody. I don't write with people. I write by myself, and then I show it to I have a live band, and I present it to them, and then they play it. I'm trying to think. I collaborated a little bit with Keith Morris of Circle Jerks and Black Flag and whatnot. I have a couple friends that I've played a beat for or whatever like that. But for the most part, dude, everything's very orchestral for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I hear something, it's a lot of times I have a hard time borrowing someone's gear or something like that, because I know the moment I put my hands on it, it's something I'm going to get a song out of it. And then I'm stuck with it. And then I got to give it back eventually, or I got to go find a way to buy it myself or whatever. But everything is so orchestral for me. So if I hear a sound, I know it comes next,
Yeah.
And I guess that can make me somewhat of a pain in the ass to write with, but I know I know how to get the sounds out of this place. I can get the stuff out of my head, and I don't like being distracted. Nobody does, unless it's a good distraction, like going for a walk to get out of the zone. But
sure.
I just feel that I work better when it comes to writing on my own, and that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to writing with people in the future or anything like that. I just have yet to meet somebody that I feel like that with. The dude that recorded this record, the engineer, his name's Manny. I approached him to record the record, to produce the record but there was really no room for him to even produce at that point because I had pretty much produced it all. So he just recorded it. We just re-recorded it in a bigger studio because all I do my demos in my house, in my apartment, you know.
Right. Right.
And I just bring it to him, and then we make it sound better in a bigger studio or whatever. But I ended up vibing with that dude so well that he ended up playing more guitar on the record. You know, he's on like 4 out of the 5 songs.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so that was like just this natural, a real natural same page, and he gets it. His name's Manny Nieto. He's amazing human being. He's super talented, really smart, and we're doing our next record with him as well, and I can't see myself straying too far from that because I found it actually, no, I didn't find it. It found me. And so I don't want to lose that, you know? So I love working with him. I was just at the studio yesterday with him, and yeah. And then the guys in the live band, dude, like these guys have been with me for a few years now. And I love those guys, dude. They hold me up, you know, those are my go-to guys whenever they know the shit I'm going through in my life. They know the shit I've been through. I know the shit that they're going through and have been through. We know each other's spots, and they trust me artistically. They trust me. They trust my process. They trust my creativity.
That's what it is.
You know, they don't, I can imagine that they don't always like every song I send them. And believe me, I send them a lot of songs. I write constantly. I'm constantly working on something.
Sure.
And we've actually had people quit the band because they couldn't keep up with the amount of songs that were getting, you know, thrown at them. And so Philip Bailey, the drummer, it's actually his birthday today. August 25th is our drummer's birthday.
Happy birthday, Philip.
Yeah, Philip, love you, brother. And then Kevin Bombay, my guitar player. These guys, I don't know how happy I would be right now without them, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a mutual trust and respect there. You know, I know that if I give Kevin one of my riffs, he's gonna learn it to the T. He's gonna learn it, and he's gonna you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Display it properly, you know? And that's hard to come by, man. It's hard to come by because everybody kind of wants to. Everybody has their own ideas, you know, especially musicians. You bring a musician in, and like, well, what if it did this instead of that? And it's like,
right,
great, maybe next time, but let's focus on what we've got, learn what we've got, and then see what we can do with it, you know?
Right. Yeah, we don't need to repaint the door.
I don't need too many cooks in the kitchen, man, you know?
Yeah, you know, there's something about it. The material on this EP, regardless of how spatial, how different, it has the same overarching vibe to it, right? There's this gothic heart to it. The entire EP sounds like a novel, but that has been sort of brought to sort of musical life, right?
Absolutely, bro.
It reminds me, and I always hate comparisons, but there's a Canadian supergroup called Black Mountain. Probably don't know who they are. Most people don't seem to know.
It sounds cool though.
But it's like post-alt doom rock.
I don't even know what that means, man. Post whatever. I don't know what post.
I know. Well, I'm just using the terms because I'm so used to saying them now.
Yeah.
But imagine this sort of drony, heavy, just like a monster.
It sounds like a Black Mountain.
Right, a Black Mountain just like pouring lava down the hill and engulfing everyone. You know, it's just this mean, sludgy. It's like fudge. You get this breath of fresh air right before you burn to death. That's it.
Like the lava is burning you, but the wind is blowing in your hair. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You get one big gulp of air because that allows you to suffer a little longer.
Yeah, it's like the last breath you take before you give up.
Oh my God, that's so great. Well, dude, so Flamingo comes out tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, yeah, man.
So for listeners this will come out after, sadly, August 26th. It's a great day. It's my dad's birthday. Album comes out on Housecore Records. Yeah, man. I mean, I know I've been sitting here praising you for the last 25 minutes, but like what's a secret about the album? Like I guess it's not a secret if you tell us a story, but what are you hoping that people get out of the record besides liking it,
I hope that they can listen to it and realize that they're not alone. Yeah, we're kind of on our own. We are on our own, but we're not alone, and for someone to listen to it and for something I say or anything in it that resonates with them. And I don't know, there's so many songs that I listen to. It's like I listen to Oasis, or something like Don't Go Away or something. I don't know, man.
Sure.
It makes me feel like I'm not alone, and that's all I could hope for is just someone to listen. And if they want to take away anything from it, at least they listen. That's the best part,
Yeah.
Just know that, maybe you're on your own, but you're not alone, and you could reach out. There's people out there, people care about you, and don't be too hard on yourself, and don't be too hard-headed. If you're going through something, reach out to somebody. I get DMs all the time from people telling me about how a song helped them through a hard time, and I answer every one of them, and I talk to all of these people. I don't want to carry the responsibility of that, right. But dude, I need help. We need help, and music heals. And so if that could be a bridge from me to you, fucking cross that bridge, man. I'm on the other side, or you're on the other side, let's keep crossing bridges and stop burning them,
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, man. I when I was a kid, I grew up in Kansas, Carry On Wayward Son, Kansas, was starting to become popular in the mid 70s. And what I loved about their songs they were these sort of complex orchestral pieces. But what I totally dug is the songs always sounded happy, but the lyrics were actually quite dark and downbeat.
That's what I love about the Smiths, man, or anything Morrissey does, dude. I'm a huge Morrissey fan. I'm a huge Smiths fan.
So I mean, we're on the same page. Depeche Mode is the same way. There's just some bands that can't help write, from a dark place. But what I've always loved about that kind of music is that it's bittersweet. And what I specifically dug about Kansas, and what I was bringing up because of what you said a second ago, is I like that music that takes me on a journey like your album does. And then at the end, it gives me just enough hope to not completely feel like I've been pulled down into the sewer. And at the same time, enough anxiety that it makes me want to listen to the next track, because maybe you're going to answer what's in it for me on the next song.
Yeah, totally. And it usually does, it's like the lyric sheets they wipe your tears away. They give you tears, but it wipes it away at the same time. It's
so
it's fucking magic, dude.
I'm telling everybody, you got to listen to this record. It's so dang good, man. It's so good.
Thank you, brother.
So yeah. You said you're working on a follow-up. Was it a surprise to you that, whatever creative juices were building up inside of you, that there was more to give?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not a surprise because there's a lot, dude. I have a lot, dude. There's a lot of shit to sing about. I don't have a lot to say, but I have a lot of shit to sing about, and I hear music all day, every day in my head. So sure. I'm constantly working with rhythms. I'm constantly working on sounds, and who knows what the next EP will sound like? I'll tell you now, like the bulk of songs that I have right now for the next one are I don't know if anybody will like it. They're a lot more, they're a lot shorter songs and more verse, chorus, verse, kind of digestible things, but, who knows, that batch of songs can get thrown away and just replaced by a batch of pummeling fucking bass riffs and floor toms. And who knows, who fucking knows, but I just keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep writing, you know. And when I don't have anything to write, I don't. I just chill, you know. I don't hate myself. I don't beat myself up for the well being dry, you know. I know it'll come back, you know. But it happens in spurts too, you know. So that, and I'm used to that, and I'm very aware of it.
I love that you recognize that, man. And you know what? The idea of shorter songs, this isn't necessarily assuming, you know, the age old sellout thing, like, oh, he's just trying to be popular now. But you know what? Artists, we don't just do it to like survive. We do it because we want to please people, and we want to create something that sticks. And you know what, man? Every once in a while, a band like you writes the next song number 2. You know what I mean? That like that Blur song, right? It's 2 minutes and 4 seconds long, and it's a perfect pop ditty. Now, I'm not suggesting you're going to write perfect pop, but you know what? Those have to happen, and they come from the greatest sources. So why not Spirit in the Room? You know, why not, Dennis?
If that record came out today, right, and if what I have right now came out as a record in a couple months, it's a pop record. I've written a pop record at this point. Nice. And I don't mind the whole sellout thing. You know, you'll never catch me doing something that I'm not, you know, or trying to be something that I'm not. But
sure.
Dude, I love, like, I wouldn't mind having a song on the radio. I love fucking songs on the radio. You know, like I'm not a fucking hater. I'm not a hater. You know, people got to do what they got to do, you know, and like, I don't know. I stay out of people's way, and I like it when they stay out of mine. You know, you do you do you, I'll do me. And if you like it, great. If you don't, fine. You know, fine. It's not, I'm not gonna say I don't give a fuck, because I care. You know, I care.
Of course, you can hear it in your voice, man. I can hear it right now. You know,
I totally care. You know, but
you know what it is for me, dude. I mean, so I look at your past work, Holy Phobia, Demon, you know, Spirit in the Room, and it's, to me, you have the same touchstones. And now, granted, these are 3 radically different creations. But
I'm glad you pointed that out too. Nobody ever really, I did that on purpose, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. And based on what you just said, Dennis, everything in my brain just says, look, I'm just trying to say, guys, look, let's not be hypocrites.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not hard to be a hypocrite. I mean, look, and it's all right to own it when you are. You know what I mean? But like, let's just be better. Surround ourselves with good people. Go to people when we need help. Offer up help when we know others need it. And just keep moving forward, man, because life is about people.
Yeah, and don't let those algorithms control you.
No.
Don't let those algorithms fucking control your every fucking thought, your every move. Like, I know so many people that are controlled by algorithms right now, even when they're not on a device, you know?
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You're not going to come back from it the same. You know, maybe you don't want to come back from the same. Just fucking do your own thing and stop worrying about what everybody else is fucking doing. You know, you ain't going to fix anything. All you can do is fix yourself.
Yeah. And even then, it's like it's a real piece of work to even just repair a fingernail, man.
Yeah.
Preach. Is it important? You know, I'll let you go here shortly, but I'm kind of curious about this, because you seem to be a guy who's sort of clear about being unclear, and maybe let me break this down just a teeny bit. There's a certain amount of I'm in control, but I love how there's an ambiguity to what you create, because you want the listener to discover, I think, your POV. Like, you don't want to just hand it to them in freaking alphabet soup. You want them to go, I think this is what he's trying to do, what he's trying to say, and every once in a while he's shocking me musically. Is it really important to you to let the listener, you know, make of what comes, or do you actually like telling them this is the direction I'm taking you?
I hate telling people what direction I'm taking.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I've done a lot of press for this record, and every one of them I'm like, trying to bite my tongue because I don't want to take away anybody else's experience, you know?
Yeah.
Like I want people to listen to it and they tell me at this point, like it's out. It's not my job to tell you what it is. It's your job to tell me what it is at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I made it, I put it out. Now you tell me what it is. I don't fucking know. I'm so deep inside of it. I don't fucking know. You know, when people ask me what kind of band are you and what kind of music you make, I just say rock and roll because I don't know, man. Everything comes from rock and roll for me.
Yeah.
So
why are we trying to classify it, right?
Yeah, you know, it's rock and roll. It's rock music. It ain't rocket science. It's a rocket appliance.
You know what it is, dude? You are, and I hope this is a compliment to you, but you're a musical David Lynch.
I love David Lynch. He's very, very, very inspirational in my life. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, well you're welcome. You know what it is. I mean, you've already said it. You don't want to tell the audience what to think.
No, it's terrible to do that.
Right? It's open to interpretation. And the best part of this, most people don't get this, and I know you do, is people on the outside think Lynch is purposely keeping it to himself, like that, like he's fucking with the audience. And I'm like, you don't understand. He doesn't know himself.
Yeah, he doesn't fucking know.
They're accidents, beautiful accidents that seem to make sense, but they don't actually. They just happen to collide because of certain synchronistic moments. That's all. Dreams,
dude. Write your dreams down. Have them and write them bitches down. Don't try to define them. Just make them reality. You know?
Yeah. Oh man. So. I know you're not going to tell me what it means because I just asked that question. Now you're not going to tell me, but what does spirit in the room? What do people think it means?
For me, what it's always been, spirit in the room is the fly on the wall. Spirit in the room to me is that gust of fresh air on a really fucking hot day.